All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we got the one, the only Mr. Servon, the legendary No Limit artist, right here on the line. How you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm blessed, man. I'm healthy and I'm happy to be here.
Same here, man. It's same here. I know you're a busy guy, so I'm gonna jump right into this interview. But I have to ask you, like, what made you actually decide to get into the music industry from the beginning?
I think, man, for me, I was always into music all the way back to when I was early in high school. Me and a friend of mine, Frank Jackson, before our high school dances, used to take the last part of like a Fat Boys cassette. They used to always have the instrumentals, and we'll loop them in our double cassette radios. Young guys don't know about that these days. Our boom boxes, and we would rap over it. So I always was in love with rap, man. But I always wanted to be Russell Simmons. I never wanted to be a rapper. LL was my favorite, but I wanted to be the guy that put everything together. And things changed as life went on, and music, music for me was always an outlet. It was not just poetry. It was therapy coming from New Orleans and growing up where I grew up at. The things I saw and witnessed and went through. It was a way to get the anger out. It was a way to speak my mind.
And when you actually just said that, you wanted to be like Russell Simmons, like, did you ever have the opportunity to meet him throughout your career and actually work alongside him once or twice?
I never got to meet him. I was actually in the same room with him, and it was, at in L.A. And it was one of those moments like, you know, I wanted to walk up to him, but it was one of them things like I wanted to become who I needed to become, where he would seek me out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like that within rap. You know what I'm saying? And the thought of mine, man. But he's still somebody that I looked at first. Especially music wise, and then as him being a black man that had such a powerful position within a growing genre of music that, as we know now, became one of the most profitable genres of music ever. And he was in the beginning of that, if not the first CEO, the first black CEO of rap label that you knew of.
And also, you were one of the very first MCs actually signed to No Limit Records. I have to ask you, how did that record deal come to be for you? And of course, what was it like actually working under, Master P?
Um, First, actually, man, we was never like a deal. You know what I'm saying? It was a man to man personal. This is bro, this is what I got going. Come deal with me. Come out here and deal with me, man. Trust me. And grow with me. And that's how P was. And what it was I was KLC and I, from East by the Pound. We, we I got with him when I got home, from Virginia where I lived at. I was living in the military, got put out the military for drug distribution, went through some personal time, as some people we would call it, and came home. he got jackets for us. He got our tanks for us. And the money that he said he would pay us, he gave us and then some. And it was like, man, we saw what he had going, saw his hustle, and just with him, yeah, it was personal because we grew up, and I grew up under him, but to see him be who he was and do what he was doing, and the countless work, the hours, the hustle, the count, he was always thinking, and then he was teaching at the same time. He would never do anything without saying, "Let me tell you why I did that." He wasn't afraid to teach me, what he was doing. But most people like, man, I got this young dude. I like his music, but I ain't gonna teach him what I know. He might wanna walk away, or he might not wanna, or he might go do his own thing and steal what I'm doing. He was never like that. He taught as he went along, and he held you accountable. When I got there, it wasn't just music. It was work. As an artist, we worked. I watched, going drop off records at record stores, and going to the mail place and picking up. He getting CDs constantly, and dropping them off and sending them out, and he teaching me and making me understand. So in the beginning, that's what it was. It was never like a deal discussed. The only personal thing, he was like, "Look, you own your stuff. Whatever you do with me, we got a 50-50 situation. We split everything. Your publishing is yours." And and that was it. And we both from the streets, so we understood that realness of that verbal situation. So and that's how that came about.
And the one thing I do want to ask, because like I do want to say my apologies if you actually answer this quite a few times. But were you actually around when Snoop Dogg actually left Death Row to come to No Limit? And if so, like what was the atmosphere around those times? Because I do know that like Death Row and No Limit, they were at each other's necks over that situation.
Well, I was there. Of course, I was there when Snoop first came. While we were shooting, I think I got the hookup. If I'm not sure. He came, and he got to talk to P, and P let us know, hey, we about to get Snoop. And for me, that meant so much because his picture was on my wall. He was one of them I woke up to. I went to sleep to looking at his picture like one day he gonna know who I am. So to have him come, and P worked that out, and we didn't worry about that, bro. Yeah, I think they had their business deal that they had. I think they understood. We you still respected the fact that was Snoop.
And also in 1994, you actually made your first appearance on Soulja Slim's album called Soulja for Life. I have to ask you, what was it like actually debuting on that record with Soulja Slim and just doing that project?
It was it meant a lot because KL and I saw, what he went through. We watched him being as a young man about to pop in New Orleans and getting shot up and ended up in the hospital and then come out the hospital and things about to break for him and then he go to jail and then we get our break and we blow up and it was always like we gotta go back and get him. And so when it was time and KL got the P and talked to him, and P was like, if that's what you want, we'll get him. And once we got him and to see him do that album and how he did it, and we knew what he was capable of. It was like watching and I'm not calling him a child, you know what I'm saying, but watching your son like, okay, I told y'all he was good. I told y'all the world New Orleans know, but the world about to really see what we've always saw. And like this is us. This is our style. This is who, now we bring in, it's like bringing a young LeBron, you know what I'm saying? A young Kobe or Buster Dead to a label and saying, watch this. We always knew, but watch this. And so when he did the album, and the one thing we always said was, man, just hope he don't go to jail or anything happen to him, and the world they gonna love him. And so it was like a pride of big brothers and big uncles for me and KL to see him do what he did and then being on the album with him and things like that because my first performance ever, I opened up for him at Club Rumors and he had to give that blessing because he was hot in New Orleans and he gave that blessing like, yeah, big round, man, KL let him open up. So to turn back and sit back and say, okay, you had no limit. We didn't help get you here, you know what I mean, and then do your thing. And it was a proud moment because that album was his album. He did it so quick, and it was like he was ready, and that made us look good. That made us feel proud, So getting on the song with him was the easy part, and it was definitely an honor now that all the things that have happened with him over the years. He's no longer here, and I'm happy that I was actually on a project of his, But just to see him do it was more important than the song ever.
And I have to say that record was absolutely phenomenal, man. I didn't know that he actually made the record that quickly. Like that album is like absolutely phenomenal, like absolute fire through and through.
Bro, he did something that only real rappers know what I'm about to say. When he came home, the song that he did when he started hitting no limit, Black Pocket, that roll, from what I was told, the song from what I was told, he did it in one take, no mistakes, no punching. I'm talking about his verse, his hook, his doubles, his ad libs, with no mistakes. Ain't too many artists can do that. I'm talking about one take on each thing, every done and song done, period. That's kind of unheard of because everybody might mess up here and there. Everybody might, stop the dude to add a hook or add something or make a mistake and say, let me do it again. Nah, he did it one take, and that was fresh out of jail. He didn't go home looking for trying to catch a female or two or whatever, whatnot. He went straight to studio. He was incredible, man. Everybody see that thug side of him, and don't get me wrong, he had the heart of a lion and then some, but I wouldn't back down from nothing. But he was an artist. He was a great artist. He was a good dude, a good son, a good brother, a good father. He was a funny dude, man. He if you was wrong, he still had your back no matter what. But still, to everybody look at that. I look at the artist, the dude that really loved rap. People don't know that about him. He loved rap. He loved, it wasn't just putting it down and getting a check or whatever, whatnot. He loved rap.
And also, in '97, you actually released one of my favorite records that you have ever done called Life Insurance. I have to ask you, can you tell us the story and inspiration behind that phenomenal record?
Well, a lot of people don't know when I was in the military, um, I used to be on the East Coast, and I used to be freestyling around guys from New York and stuff like that. And when, handled my business, and one day one of them was like, "Where you from?" I said, "New Orleans." And he was like, "Man, whatever, man. Hell, Mardi Gras and murder." And that I felt so disrespected, and I felt it was an anger in me that I said, I'll be back. I'm gonna make y'all understand. You know what I'm saying? And then once Outkast got booed at the Source Awards, you know, and Andre stood up strong, and let him know the South got something to say. All those things were things that pushed me to get in that position. And when the time came with my album, you know, he, you know, his thought mindset, was he always let you be your own artist. You do what you got to do. You got to give him a couple of type of songs, and then the rest of your album, you do whatever you want to do. And for me, I knew I was different. Because I had a down south dialect, but I had a East Coast style, a rap. A real hip hop style. So I know I was different. I wasn't. I was from New Orleans, but my rap, my strength in my rap career started to me on the East Coast, and so I knew I was different, and I knew the sound that KL and I, been wanting to give the world, and the style that we wanted to give to them. So for me, my album was like one of these things of saying, I'm alone at who I am. So I'm going to give them somebody that they've never seen and never heard, and the style of it. And P helped by the concept, you know what I'm saying? Because his thing was he knew Scarface, was arguably top three, if not number one for me ever. So Mr. Scarface, Mr. Servon. And at that time Space was kinda, going into being a president, I think a vice president of Def Jam, so that Space was there for that Mr. And he put that Mr. in front of it. And then for me, life insurance, people think that was just okay, a little ploy cover, but my concept behind my album was everything in this life is on paper. When you born, it's your birth certificate. When you die, it's your death certificate. Your credit is on one piece of paper, your social security number. Everything is paper. What we work for, money, which is paper. So your whole life is insured by pieces of paper. And so my album was surrounded by that, what I'm saying, and that the concept of what our life is about is insured. Our life is insured only by paper. So that concept, and people don't know that my name is as an acronym is broken down is, Mr. Serv-On, which is Serv-On means surviving every rugged vendetta enslaved on niggas. And so, in layman terms, Negroes. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So, everything balanced itself out. So when I did my album, I gave them everything that I wanted people to see me as. I wanted to be seen different as the other artists on No Limit. If you listen to the terms of the album and the words and the things that I spoke about when I did Throw Your City Up, I named cities. That was my friends that were in the military. I promised them I would shout their cities out. I would give love to my guys. And so everything was different. Heaven is so close. The way I chose, to do my songs, the way KL and I and Craig B, who was there with me in the beginning before No Limit, also, this is what they knew I already was going to do when I got my chance. And when Pete gave me that chance, and he stepped aside and just said, "Do you?" That's what I wanted to give the world.
And also, aside from your music career, back in '97, you were actually in a movie called I'm sorry, I'm Bout It. I have to ask you, how did you land that role? And what was it like actually doing that movie?
About it, about it. Well, it was when you looking at with the things that he do and the things he created. When he comes and he says, "We about to shoot a movie," and you're like, "Are you serious? A movie?" I watch movies. movies. Now we about to be in a movie, so you like, man, I don't care what I got to do in this movie, as long as it don't disrespect me as a man, I'm with it. And he knew who to give what parts to, and so the part that he gave me, and you know, and it's funny, I can arguably say I was one of the first bad guys as a rapper in the movie, and you know, and it fit who I was at that time, and to be able to watch it now, like, man, a year, 2 years ago, I'm figuring out how to figure out how to stay alive, make sure I can take care of my oldest daughter, and make sure my mom okay, and try not to go back into that place. You know, to now we on the movie set. You know, it was surreal, but we never thought about it as much during that time because he always had us doing something. We was going from videos to albums to movies to commercials, you know, to shows. So, but when you look back at it now, the honor and the historic of what we did, and even when people laughed, there's people laughed when he was like, "Oh, I'm shooting this movie and it's going to VHS and you know it's going to be the biggest movie in the world." People laughed at him. People in the industry laughed at him. You know, they laughed at us. You know, like this man, what this dude trying to do? Even the hood was like, man, what he trying to do? And then when it came out, everybody in every hood that was living a rough way and hustling and going through the things they were going through, they saw themselves in that movie. And then they understood what he was doing. And all he was doing was saying, it don't matter where you from, you could do whatever you want to do. You know, I mean, you just take your dirty money and clean it up and do it this way. You can shoot a movie if you want to. You can put an album out if you want to. You can own a car wash if you want to. You can own a restaurant if you want to. Clean your dirty money up if you're in the streets and do what's right with it and see what comes out of it. Don't let nobody tell you you can't do it. That's really why he did that. It wasn't he did that movie to show I could do whatever. You know what? They don't want to put me in the movie. I'm gonna shoot my own, and I'm gonna tell my story. Who could tell my story better? You know. So for all of us, and all of us knowing the realness behind that about it, because it was a real story, it was deeper. It had a deeper meaning. You know, I think we don't realize till now when we look back how important that was for a lot of black kids that had dreams of want to shoot a movie, be in a movie, or be a director, or be a screenwriter, or whatever, whatnot. We opened that door to where it could be done, and then to let people know, don't worry about who laugh at you. Do what you got to do.
And after I'm Bout It was done filming and it got released, did you like acting? Like, did you ever consider being one of those MCs that still make music but also get into the entertainment industry as well?
I was, for me, to say I'm in the music, I would say shy, but I kind of stay to myself. I like putting things together. And so being in front of screen and things like that and constantly doing movies, and my mindset at that time, it wasn't for me. You know, it wasn't something I wanted to do. I would have rather wrote movies, which, I got into and things like that. But I was being pushed, like Mia would always tell me and Fiend would always tell me, you need to really take it serious. You need to really act. You need to really do it. And so it was there for me to do, and I got into it here and there, but I didn't really, and I do, when I look back on it, I do regret not taking those steps, because I think that would have been my way to get out the movies that I know I wrote and I kept to myself that no one has never seen or whatever, whatnot. But it's never over. But at the same time, I mean, I had more of a bug to write movies, to produce and direct, than to star in them.
And also, you guys had the opportunity to work with the late great Big Pun on the song NY to NO. I have to ask you, what was it like working with Pun, and how did you guys get connected?
Well, first, Fat Joe, who did a song with Mia, and Joe, one of the realest, you know what I mean? And I was a big fan of
one thing I do want to ask pertaining to that music video, because this is one thing I've always wanted to know with that music video. Because as we know, Times Square is one of the busiest places in New York City. Did you ever have individuals trying to run into the music video and go, "Yo, there's Serv-On, there's Pun," and trying to run up and get in your shots, or did you guys have Times Square
Nah,
blocked off?
nah, Fat Joe and his people, and then our security guys, Vinani, and Pokey that was with us. You wasn't gonna be able to get nowhere near us taking care of business. Trust me, you wasn't gonna get nowhere near it. And then we did it in the same tunnel club. The tunnel in New York. That club is legendary. So you had cars passing and slowing and looking, but we were so focused on what we were doing, and it was cold as hell too. So we was getting it done, but we were focused on doing what we was doing because I knew how important it was. And then for me, again, it was personal because I promised that I will be back and you will respect the South. And so that was personal.
And also, aside from music and movies, you also wrote a book as well for African American women. I have to ask for about dating for African American women. I have to ask you, like, what made you decide to write that book, and also, where can our ladies actually that are listening actually get themselves a copy?
Well, it's going to be available again. I'm actually going to finally put it up on ebook. It's called Sexy Black Thoughts, but I think all women can get something out of it. What it was, it was before its time. Like Steve Harvey wrote a book, Speak Like a Man, where he talking about relationship advice. Well, the book I had was erotic poetry stories, and then a section about relationships. And what it was, I went through, you know, a relationship where it was like, things when it was over, it was kind of like it was a lot on my mind, and I wasn't a type. I'm not a rah rah person, and calling a female, acting up, and doing all that. I stay to myself and I write. Whenever I got things on my mind, I write. I'm not the type that when the relationship's over, I act up. I'm not that type of guy. I just go about my business, stay to myself, and I write. And so I would write, these things every day on. It was a site called Tag.com, and I would put up these poems every day, these erotic poems. And so somebody put up once a female. She said, "You ought to write a book." So I took every one of those poems, which were basically true, and but just worded in a poetry form and put them together. And then I started to, I always heard about Zane, so I wanted to be the male Zane, and so I wrote erotic stories, and tasteful and respectful, but in a good way. And then I got to the part where I was like, you know what? I remember sitting in a restaurant in New Orleans called Houston, and some females were sitting at a table, and they kept talking about men, especially black men. They not about this, they that, they bad, this, that. And I just got tired of it, and I kind of gave my perspective on cheating and who's wrong and who's right. And before you know it, that whole table was a big discussion and a debate. And then at the end, and we talking six females, I quieted all of them down and made them think. And so I just decided, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do something for black women, or just, and also women, period, but mostly black women. I'm gonna tell the secrets. I'm gonna tell you how a man really thinks, and when you're in a situation with him, what we really doing, where our mind really is. Now, if you still get cheated on and get done wrong, then you know what, you got to get yourself together. And so I decided to put all that together, and I sold it hand to hand for a while, and then I just stopped. But now I'm bringing it back, within the next 2 weeks is going to be on ebooks called Sexy Black Thoughts, so you can get your personal copy directly from me. You find me on whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, the real Mr. Servon.
And also, you actually created and you own your own record label, actually called Lifetime Entertainment. I was wondering, can you tell us a story behind that label, and of course, who's currently signed to you right now?
Well, Lifetime Entertainment was my first imprint, and where I got my first situation, upon departing the limit. And Lifetime Entertainment, my thing was we commit our group. Because I always felt New Orleans was the hottest city music wise. And so what I do is I do more consulting. You know what I'm saying? And light partnerships. But the main artist that I'm working with right now, man, is a kid, by the name of Downpat. From out of Florida, who I feel arguably is one of the best lyrical talents, man. I mean, and it's, I've had my time, and I'm gonna make sure that the world gets to see who he is, and get to listen to him. So I'm working a lot with him. I got, you know, some people out of St. Louis that I'm dealing with, Taylor and Nettie Mo. Also, be on the lookout for the Trap Girls. They out of Arkansas. I'm doing consulting with them. They gonna be a beast. Arkansas is about to really come up, man. Trap Girls is crazy. Um, I have, I just have distant artists that I like to work with. You know what I'm saying? That I deal with. It's not necessarily like, okay, signed to my label. You know what I'm saying? What I've done is more or less like I form partnerships to help artists get to where they need to get at. More consultant. You know what I'm saying? I have a guy, Jay Lyric, out in Las Vegas doing his thing. You know what I mean? That's going to be a pretty big kid in production and R&B wise. Got my guy Street King out in New Orleans, who's one of the best producers and had one of the best projects. If y'all listening out there, go find the 16th Chapel by by Street King from Street King Music. That's one of the best lyrical albums, I promise you, of the year. And so we doing a lot, man. I have the honor. I got so much coming out, man. There's so much to name. But I had the honor recently of doing a releasing a song with my guy Frazier Boy, from Memphis, man, legendary Frazier Boy. You got Trip Chick out now, man. I got an EP with my guy Neil Analog. He's an awesome producer. We about to put out this legendary, EP. I got actually a single out, Letter to America, with my guy from Sucker Duck Entertainment out of Cleveland. Out of Colorado, who has an awesome artist called Creeper. We doing a lot, man. I do a lot of connection type work instead of signing artists. I come in and more consult and build. And of course we got the No Limit Chronicles coming up, and I guess we'll talk about that, so I won't go too far in.
And also, the one thing I do want to say, when you said Downpat, man, when it comes to Downpat, he is a phenomenal artist. I actually had him on the station a couple days ago. An amazing artist, man. I have to say, he's most definitely going places within his music career.
Oh yeah, he's by far, man. I put him up any day against lyrically against anybody, man.
And
He and then his ear for music, putting together, because nobody knows he's actually putting together the re-release and remaster version of Life Insurance. It's in his hands that he's putting it all together and getting it all ready to be finally released on digital.
when it actually when you brought up the No Limit Chronicles, that was actually one of my next questions. But I don't know
Okay.
if you can actually go into any more detail pertaining to that. But if you can, like, what can our listeners expect from that release?
I think you're gonna see a lot of things that because the average rap fan is nosy, man, and I was a rap fan, so I was nosy. So all the questions that they ask, all the things that they hear, or because I always be in like a lot of the sites, man. They got some awesome sites, True Tank Dogs and No Limit Forever and all that those sites, and a lot of guys they will put out info that sometimes be right, sometimes it don't. But a lot of times, and I like to talk in the blogs with people, man. Just be myself, and I think No Limit Chronicles is finally gonna answer a lot of questions, a lot of rumors that were true and some that were not true. And I think you're gonna also see the greatness of P, and you're gonna see, what a team is and what a family is. So I think it's gonna show a lot. It's gonna, you know, open a lot of people's eyes on because we were such a tight knit group, and we didn't let
also, yesterday you actually surprised my email actually by sending off one of your new songs. I'm actually going to be playing that directly after this interview commences, and I was wondering if you could tell our listeners just a bit more about that track. That way, when they hear it, they can wrap their head around it a bit more.
Yeah, it's called Go Live. Everybody go live, man. Go live. Everybody gets on their phones and they go live, and it's also like a song towards females. Like look, celebrating being a boss. Doing your thing. Go live. Let it be known. You trip. You go where you want to go. Do what you want to do. Spend how you want to spend. Go live with it. Let the world see it. Be happy. You living good, sweetie. Do your thing. And it's a fun song. It's for everybody to go live, and I want all your listeners out there, man. When you get the song and you get to hear it and listen to it, please do videos of the hook of go saying go live, and I promise you, I'm gonna take those videos and they're gonna be in the actual video of go live. I'm gonna take anybody that take the go live challenge, and make their own go live. I'm going to choose from so many and put it in one video. So the song is really a fun song, man. Just telling females, period, like, look, have fun, man. Go live. Let it be seen. You all right. You ain't hurt. Go live. You're doing well in life. Go live. Your kids doing well. Go live. Let the world see happiness. You know what I'm saying? So it's an empowerment type song. Thankful to my management, Mad Money Group, and Wide Open Management, Red and Carol, Carol's also BG's manager, she'll definitely be coming home soon. With the backing of them and the big help with them, and it's produced by High Kizzle from New Orleans, who's an upcoming producer, big time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's going to be a big track. I think it's going to be one of those signature tracks.
And so, Servon, this is the time in the interview right before I wrap things up that I give a chance for the individual that comes on the radio station, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And of course, if you can, drop them social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you if they're not already doing so.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, man, I definitely want to give a shout out to definitely Outlaw Radio, man, to you guys for having me, definitely. It's much appreciated, to the city of New Orleans, I mean, and, for me right now, we're in such trying times, I'm everybody that's keeping themselves safe out there, and look deeper into this life, look deeper into the world and what's going on, you know, start taking care and loving each other, and release the hate. Don't be led down the wrong way, because in this life, man, you only get one life, and we have to cherish it. You know what I mean? And I definitely want to give a shout out to everybody that supported me back then and supporting me right now. And anybody that want to do any work with me, I'm definitely doing features. I'm definitely doing consulting. With all this, my wide open management, man, Money Group, my homie Mill, Analog, Downpat, definitely Boss Entertainment down in New Orleans. My people Taylor and Nettie. Um, it's so many, man, that I'm definitely, that I'm honored to be able to work with, and just want to leave with this notion, in life. Never be afraid to be great. It's your right. It's your destiny. No matter who you are, go for what you want. Don't be afraid to be something special. Something that might change the world. Whether it's a song, whether it's an invention, whether it's just a nice thing to say to somebody. You don't get another chance at this life. So I appreciate everybody out there that support me, and you could definitely find me on Instagram at the real Mr. Serv-On, the real Mr. Serv-On. Because we got fake pages out there, as you and I know, and
Right.
Twitter you can find me at the real Mr. Serv-On on real Mr. Serv-On on Facebook, and Corey Smith, which is on Facebook. So you could definitely find me. Those are my social handles. And, just Drip Chick is out there. Go look at that video. Go Live is coming. So much Letter to America, which is a
I want to say, Mr. Servon, just one last time, man. Thank you so much again for coming up on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM. Like I said, I grew up on your music, man. I've been a fan for years, so just the fact that you provided not only myself but our listeners with 45 minutes of your time, I want to say thank you so much again, and I hope down the road we can make this happen again and we cross paths. Thank you so much, Mr. Servon.
Definitely, I appreciate you much. God bless, man, and stay safe.
You as well, man. Stay safe. Thank you so much and have yourself a wonderful night.
You too.